And welcome back, Mindsetters. Here I have Mr. Rob Macefield, who's going to be joining us for this session. Guys, I want you guys to basically welcome him. He's from Mathletics, and the guys is here to explain to you guys about the SA Math Challenge that's going to be happening. So, Rob, tell us more about it. I heard the entry days are pretty much running out soon, so...
Entry is actually open still until Monday night, so we've still got 4 days. And it's best to register now because the warm-up period has started. So although you registered and the competition is on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's best to register now so you can practice and warm up and get all the answers right. And then at midnight on Tuesday, we'll start the competition.
All right. And on that note, I do want to ask, so please explain to us, how does the Maths Challenge actually work?
Well, there's 2 days, so Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday is curriculum related. So when you register, preferably you'll get your teachers to register your class or your grade or your whole school. Then they will put in what grade you're in. You will do curriculum quizzes on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, there's a whole bunch of fun where you race in 60-second races against people from all over the world. Whoever happens to be on the website at that time, and in any one day there's about 100,000 people.
Wow.
You can race against them and get a whole bunch of points for that.
Wow, so this is actually very fast paced. Wow, that's really impressive. So is there anything else you want more to tell us in terms of how you guys started out and where you guys are heading with this?
Yes, the South African Maths Challenge is in September every year, and it's a lead-up event to the World Maths Day, which is in March every year. That forms part of the World Education Games, and we do that together with the United Nations Children's Education Fund to raise money for them and also to break the Guinness Book of Records. So we've done that globally, 220 countries, 400 million questions answered, and we're trying to break that record in South Africa. So Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to try and see if we can get maybe 80,000 learners to take part, and we'll see how many questions you can answer.
All right. Wow, that sounds amazing. If I wasn't as old as I am, I'd definitely love to win this awesome prize. But as I say, Mindsetters, this is a fun challenge. Make sure you guys enter. You can enter on their website, www.samathschallenge.co.za. Make sure you go to the website, tell your teachers, and get all your friends to enter, because as you heard from Mr. Rob, we're trying to break a record. That's what we're trying to push here in Mindset Excellence. But on that note, this is where we now hand over to Peter. Peter, take it away.
All right, before we go there, Rob, I just want to ask you, the website details, we've got it, haven't we, Ty? So we can put it on our webpage so viewers can actually see it. On the Facebook page.
It's samathschallenge.co.za.
Pretty simple.
Sounds quite easy. Even I can do that. If I can do it, guys, you can too. All right. Rob, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Great. All right, folk. We're going to carry on now with our questions. Remember, we're looking at graph work. And at the moment, we're starting to look at paper 2 type questions. Okay? And this kind of question now comes up, and it now is going to link graph work with some financial mathematics. Oh, we haven't done that very often. Okay? So that's what we're going to do now. So let's have a look. Below is a graph that shows what happened to Mr. Ndlazi's investment of 35,000 Rand. He deposited the money into a bank which offered him 8.5% interest calculated annually. Okay. Now, guys, you've always seen this type of question, all right? Let me highlight it here, or just show you this. Normally, you would come across a question like this that I've circled in green. Mr. Ndlazi invested 35,000. He deposited the money into a bank which offered him 8.5% interest calculated annually, right? And then it would say to you, how much money does he have in the bank after how many years? After the period of time, whatever it is. Okay. Now what we're doing is we are showing it to you on a graph. We've never done that before. Okay, but you could get that in an exam question. In fact, you students out there who write the IAB exam, I think you got this in your final exam 2 years ago, the matrics. Okay, so you matrics, there's nothing to stop the IAB examiner saying, "Oi, let's do this." There's nothing to stop the government examiners saying, "Hey, let's put this kind of question in." So let's have a look at it. Okay, so he puts money in, and he puts in 35,000 Rand. Can you see it's been plotted here on our graph? That's the point A. Okay. Now he puts it in at 8.5% interest and the money starts to grow. And this white graph here shows how the money is growing. You can see how it's beginning to curve up. And eventually it stops growing at point B. Why does it stop growing? Well, because obviously Mr. Lazi is going to take the money out. Okay. After how long? Well, here it's telling us the number of years. And we can see that it's 20 years. So after 20 years, he's now got a certain amount. Now, what kind of question can we ask? Well, let's have a look at it. Question number 1 says this. What is the value of A? Guys, that's straightforward, isn't it? Because it tells us that it's 35,000 Rand. So if it's 35,000 Rand, that's the amount of money we're depositing. So my answer is straightforward. We're depositing 35,000 Rand. That's what we put into the bank when our investment first started. What's the next question? Our next question is this. The interest offered is compounded rather than simple interest. How can you make the conclusion from the shape of the graph? Now, do you remember if I put simple interest, what's happening with my interest? My interest is growing at a constant rate, okay? It never changes. Why? Because I'm being given interest on the amount of money I put in the bank. So I put money in the bank and the interest rate goes up a certain amount. Then I put the money, that whole money in the bank, and the interest rate carries on going up at a set rate. So if I've got a straight line showing interest, I know it's simple interest. Okay? It's a simple graph, straight. Compounded interest is like a compounded graph. It's a difficult graph. Now let's have a look at the shape of this graph. Now I hope you can see it, but it's not a straight line. In fact, if I were to condense this whole graph and draw it in that kind of shape, that's what it would be doing. Okay? So you can't really see that shape. Why? Because of the set of axes that I've chosen here, or because of the scale on the axis I've chosen. But that's basically what it's doing. And if you look at that white graph, you can see it's curving at a slight angle. Okay? That tells me straight away I'm dealing with compound interest. Why? Because compound interest is interest on interest. So my investment is getting more and more and more and more and more. You know the difference between simple interest and compound interest, okay? Simple interest, we're just being charged interest on the amount of money, or we've been given interest rather in this case, on the amount of money we have in the bank. Compound interest, we're getting interest on the money we put in the bank plus the interest we've already earned. So now, in year 2, we're getting interest on the amount of money we put in the bank plus that interest we got. So my investment is getting higher and higher and higher and higher. Okay, my next question says this. Calculate the value of B. What's the value of B? The value of B is the final amount I have in the bank after 20 years. So calculate the value of B, the value of the investment after 20 years. And guys, again, there's no trick here because they give us the formula. And they tell us the formula is A is equal to P bracket 1 plus I close bracket to the power of N. So let's use it. So I've got now A equals P 1 plus I to the power of N. Instead of A, it's like that number B, okay? Or like the letter B. Remember, that's what we're trying to find over here. So that's what we're trying to find. Now, what was P value? P value is the initial investment. And we said the initial investment was 35,000 Rand. So I'm putting 35,000 Rand into the bank. 1 plus. Now, what's my interest rate? Now, we've got to go all the way back to the question because I've already forgotten what that is. The interest rate is 8.5% interest compounded annually. So it's actually a very simple compound question. We're not saying compounded monthly at all. Compounded annually. 8.5%. How do we write 8.5%? Do you agree that 8.5% can be written like 8.5 over 100? If I did that on my calculator, and let's do it. Let's go. 8.5 over 100, okay, equals, push S to D, and there we get it. 0,085. So I'm going to write it as 0,085. Now, N means the number of calculations. And we're doing it for 20 years. So I'm going to say to the power of 20. Now, folk, calculator, you do the rest for us, please. We're sitting back, and we're just going to push a few buttons. So I've got 35,000, bracket, 1 plus 0 point, and what was it again? 0.85. It's lovely, this thing. We can move it all over the screen. 0.85, close bracket, to the power of 20 equals. And my answer is a whopping 178,000. Will you remember this, Ty? Because I won't remember it, hey? 178,921 Rand, 61 cents. Okay, you got it, Ty? Let's see how reliable you are. Okay, so it was 178,921 Rand and I don't know. Okay, so let's just bring up the calculator. And 61 cents. All right, and 61 cents. Okay, so that's the value of B, folk. There it is there, 179,000. So I put 35,000 Rand into a bank at 8.5% interest, and I leave it. I go away, okay? And off I go. Shall I go away? Let me go away. So I go away. 20 years later, I come back again. And I go to the bank and they say, you know what? You have got 179,000. Oh, how wonderful is that? Okay, right. Another question. I think we've got time. Let's go. Next one says, if the interest rate were calculated monthly and not yearly, then determine which set of graphs would best illustrate this. Explain your reasoning. Okay, let's have a look at this. Whoa, this is a deep question, guys. Deep stuff. But oh, if you can answer this, then you understand compound interest so nicely. So I can calculate my compound interest on a yearly basis, or I can calculate it on a monthly basis. Right. In other words, if I put money in a bank, they can say, right, after a year, let's add the interest. Or if I do it monthly, they say, after a month, let's add the interest. After the next month, let's add the interest. Now, guys, I would rather do it that way because I'm getting interest, and then they're calculating my amount of money based on that interest I've put on. And then I've got a little more interest, and then a little more interest. So you're going to get more money out. And if I had time, I'd do it, but we don't have the time today. But if I had time, I'd do it, and I'd show you that putting money or calculating money monthly is a lot better than calculating it annually. So if I look at this, compounded yearly, that's how much I'm getting out. Compounded monthly, that's how much I'm getting out. Graph B says if I compound monthly, that's how much I'm getting out. If I compound yearly, I'm getting more out. Well, that's not true. You're going to get more money if you compound it monthly rather than yearly. Guys, I'm absolutely horrified that our time has come to a grinding halt again. That's another Thursday. Come and gone, and it's 2:45 Friday. Okay.
It is 2:45 Friday. And I just want to say thank you again, Mindsetters, to everybody's on the page. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to Ashworth, regular. Thank you so much. I want to say, I think that's it. I'm so sorry if I've butchered your name. Mahosi. I want to say Kakleko, thank you for joining us. I want to say Tisha, Wishy. Yes, your Facebook name is very interesting. And I just want to say again, Mindsetters, get on the page, talk to each other. Lutendo, just want to say thank you for also being on the page. Anissa, always nice to see you. But this is where I say thank you and see you next time.